Welcome, wanderers and dreamers, to Earstravagent Adventures, the ultimate podcast for all things magical travel. I am your host, Rachel, with Abby and Mackenzie, and we will be your guides to the enchanting world of Disney destinations, Universal, and all the wondrous realms that exist beyond our everyday reality. Here at Earstravagant Adventures, we believe that the most extraordinary memories are made when we surrender to the spellbinding wonder of all these magical places. Whether you're a mouse aficionado exploring the many splendors of Walt Disney World or a thrill seeker uncovering the secrets of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal, we invite you to join us on a journey that will transport you to fantastical realms and leave you in awe. Every episode, we'll be delving into the hidden treasures, behind the scenes stories, and insider tips that will transform any ordinary vacation into an extraordinary adventure. We'll be your compass, guiding you through the vast landscapes of Disney's magical kingdom, uncovering the bewitching charms of Disneyland, and reveling the wondrous delights that await you at the Disney parks around the globe. So whether you're a longtime fan, first-time visitor, or someone yearning to recapture the wonder of childhood, Earstravagant Adventures is the podcast you've been waiting for. Join us every other week as we unlock the gates to a world of magic, wonder, and unforgettable memories. Get ready, my fellow travelers, as we embark on the most extraordinary journey of all, where dreams really do come true. Welcome aboard, adventurers, to Earstravagant Adventures. And now, a word from our sponsor.
This episode of Earstravagant Adventures is brought to you by Wave of a Wand Travel. Specializing in family theme park travel, Wave of a Wand Travel knows all the insider secrets and hidden gems to make your trip absolutely magical. Whether you're planning a visit to the magnificent wizarding world, exploring an enchanting kingdom, or diving into an underwater paradise, their expert team of travel planners has you covered. If you're ready to wave goodbye to all the stress of planning and wave hello to a journey filled with joy, laughter, and wonder, reach out to Wave of a Wand Travel today. Visit their website at www.waveofawandtravel.com or give them a call at 201 401 5378 and let the magic begin. Remember, when it comes to family theme park travel, Wave of a Wand Travel is the name you can trust to make your dreams come true. Now let's dive into magical stories and unforgettable moments on Earstravagant Adventures.
Yay! But before we
Yay!
do that, as we love to do, we've got some theme park news. What do we got, ladies?
There's a lot going on this week. I was most excited about the new photos coming out of Epcot and the Moana experience, the water. I cannot wait for that. I think I am I hope I'm not alone in this, but I am very much over the fences at Epcot and very
100%.
excited for something new. So, and who doesn't love Moana? So I think that'll be a great addition. That was a nice update this week. Those pictures were beautiful.
I think that's also why we haven't gotten like any news on Food and Wine Festival aside from Eat to the Beat. We don't even have menus, guys, and it
No
comes
menus
and it
yet.
starts in like a week, right?
Yes, it does. Hard to make our snack list without those menus.
Yeah.
Another big exciting thing that we got this week were the return of bounce back offers.
Finally.
So finally, they had not been around since before the pandemic. Essentially, if you are in a Disney resort, you will now see a brochure in your room or receive an email after your stay or during your stay that offers you a discount for booking another magical trip while you are on your vacation. And you have 7 days after your return to book that and take advantage of the discount. Just don't forget to tell your friendly travel advisor that you've done so they can work their magic behind the scenes.
Or just tell your travel advisor that you want to book it because this is only bookable via the phone and nobody really wants to call while they're on vacation or post vacation. So just reach out to your favorite travel advisor and we'll take care of it for you.
We'll do all the holding for you.
Uh-huh. We're pretty good at that. I'm kind of excited, not excited about the next piece of news you guys have, the Hocus Pocus meet and greet. I know a lot of people last year were angry that this wasn't a meet and greet at Walt Disney World, and now it is. Are y'all Hocus Pocus fans?
Yeah, huge Hocus Pocus fan.
Okay, Mackenzie, tell us about it then.
The movie itself?
No, the meet and greet.
Oh, the meet and greet. Oh, so Clarabelle and Minnie and Daisy will now be meeting guests, and I don't know the location off the
I
top of
don't
my
think
head.
they've said, but
Yeah.
yeah, we probably
So
won't know until August.
closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited for this. I don't know why you wouldn't be.
Well, I don't like Hocus Pocus.
Oh,
I, I,
that's the only
I will,
reason I was
Hocus Pocus is not my favorite, but if I am at Mickey's Not So Scary, I'm going to take pictures with everyone. So I'm excited to have new characters and opportunities. Right, as Rachel said, I think last year they were just part of the Boo to You parade,
Yeah.
and not available to meet. So that was the update there. And Minnie, Daisy, and Clarabelle will be in your favorite Hocus Pocus outfits. I love when they switch up the outfits, though. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're
Me too.
so festive and fun. I think it's a great way to, I don't know, I think I love the movies. The second one was fun, but the first one has my heart. I grew up watching that every Halloween season.
Oh, and there's a third one coming apparently. So
Oh,
yeah,
Yes.
we'll
gotta
see
keep
how
them
that works
busy.
out. But
This one is bittersweet. This next piece of news, guys, is the Tiana water tank unveiling.
well, you are a Splash Mountain stan, so this is bittersweet for you. Exciting for me, but
Right, it's bittersweet for me. I guess I just, for me, like Splash Mountain was that nostalgia ride. I definitely understand the need to change it up. And I am mostly just excited to see progress being made because I can't wait to get back on that flume.
well, and they also unveiled her new meet and greet outfit, which is cute. I hope she still meets in her dress because her Bayou dress is very cute, but her little adventure outfit is so fun.
Yeah, I think it's a great little update for her.
Yeah, I love how they update characters. Like we just said, like it's a lot of fun. And Abby, I know you're excited about this last one.
Guys, I am very excited about this one. Over in Universal Studios Hollywood, so you have to go to California for this one, which is on theme for today's episode to celebrate Harry's birthday, which everyone knows is July 31st. We will be getting the Death Eaters, and the Dark Arts are coming to Hogsmeade. I think that's a fun thing. I can't believe we haven't gotten that before. I mean,
Well,
what
it's
could be
funny
better?
because Universal Hollywood and Universal Orlando are opposite of like Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Disneyland like always gets the fun characters and interesting stuff, and Walt Disney World's always like years behind. But Universal, it's like the other way around.
Yes, it's true. Well, yeah, that's true. And also, I know we spoke about the Wizarding World last week, but I mean, in Japan, they're getting all sorts of like magical creature meet and greets. We're not. I'm very jealous about the situation.
That's Japan, though. That's Japan.
Yeah.
Japan.
I know, but I gotta get that. If I'm not gonna have a Niffler, I am gonna have a Death Eater.
Fair, because the Niffler is so cute. So cute.
So cute.
Well, since we're talking about Disney again, we're going to bring back our segment. Where'd you get those ears? Mackenzie?
Oh, I got my Ursula ears on Etsy a few years ago.
I like the tentacle details, Mackenzie, on the side, that beading.
She's one of my
I see the
favorite
hair
villains.
now. Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's this
very
shell
cute.
right here too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Abby,
I like
where'd you get
Ursula
yours?
as a villain. Okay, guys. So these ones are actually from Walt Disney World, although this trip can be done at Disneyland as well. These are the Mickey leather ears, and they are perfect for personalization. So if you are in Disney World, you can take these to Ye Old Christmas Shop in Magic Kingdom and have them personalized however you want, or almost however you want. They have a book of options and inspiration that you can choose from. Rachel and I learned the hard way, though, you cannot put any trademark or business names on there. So just know that going in. Anything that they can Google and find that it is someone else's property, they will not put on the ears. And then in Disneyland, there are two locations, one in California Adventure in that main Emporium gift shop, and then the other one on the right. Yep. And then in Disneyland, it's also it's by the Hatter store, right? I'm blanking on the name of the exact
store.
I
don't remember the name, but at Disney World, you can also get it done at the Christmas store at Disney Springs.
Oh, good tip. Good tip. I don't often go into that store. So yeah, and honestly, guys, this is one of those things that I feel like is a is a relative bargain on the Disney property. Some of the designs start at $8. So I think it's a really nice thing to do, and it really enhances your ears.
Yes. When you got those designed, when you showed it to me, I was like, oh, that perfect. Perfect.
The mini ear, the mini bow on the A, the balloons,
the fireworks.
It just makes me happy. Yeah. I do embarrass my kids routinely by showing up to pick up wearing these because they just make me feel happy. So
I mean, and that's all that's important, making parents just as happy as the kids, right?
You got it.
Mine are from Aloha Ears. They are interchangeable. So these snap on and off with Velcro. This snaps on and off with Velcro.
Whoa.
So I have one headband for lots of pairs of ears. So these are super comfortable, super great, and they are Sleeping Beauty Castle.
They're adorable.
I
love
that's
them.
perfect for today, and I need interchangeable ears. That is sorcery.
It's so great because then you can just have one headband and you just bring in all the stuff, and they're really durable because they're 3D printed, so you don't have to worry about like the fragility of them. Because yours, I know I have some too. I covered mine in Mod Podge so they don't crack because the painted stuff. Beautiful, but cracks. So a little extra maintenance, but that's okay.
That is a good disclaimer. These are chalk markers, like the same ones that you're using on your, first day of school, last day of school signs, and they will wear off. So Mod Podge is a great way to sort of preserve them. And if you don't have Mod Podge with you at the parks, which I who does really? I wrap them up in my softest t-shirt to take them home, and that seemed to work. So please do that. Please take care of your ears if you get them personalized.
So what are we talking about today, ladies?
Guys, this is maybe like the thing I could talk about the most forever and ever. Disneyland. So today we are doing some Disneyland myth busting, Disneyland misconceptions that we want to make sure you leave having listened to this or watched this knowing more about Disneyland and knowing how wonderful it is.
We all have been to Disneyland, right?
Yes.
We all love Disneyland.
Yes.
What is not to love?
And we're going to talk about that right now.
Yay!
Perfect segue. So the first point that you guys bring up is my favorite point. It's my favorite point. So lead us in.
Wow. Mackenzie and I have talked about this a lot.
Yeah. So it is the OG park. Oh, we're talking about, so it's the original. It is the Waltz design. Did I skip a point?
Well, I think it all goes to the same thing, which is just that Disneyland is an amazing resort. And what if you hang up or if you turn this off right now, I want you to walk away knowing that it is not just a smaller version of Magic Kingdom. There is so much that makes this park very special. And if you are visiting and you have been to Walt Disney World before, castle aside, which we'll get to, you just need to reset your expectations. This is not a smaller or lesser version of the Magic Kingdom. It is its own park with its own feeling, and we'll dive into some of those differences. But that, I think, is like the one thing I want people to understand about Disneyland.
Like, yeah, I agree. Like, yes, it is smaller because it was the first park, right? And they didn't know if it was going to be successful or not. So you're not going to make this gigantic park when you're not sure it's going to make money. But that makes it easier to navigate. And y'all, the weather in California, like, let's just talk about that. First of all, is superior. Okay. Absolutely. I live in Texas. Y'all are in the north. So y'all understand the heat and humidity that assaults me on like 90% of the year. It's horrible. So going to California, it is hot, but it's in the desert and that's a dry heat. So even if it's warm, you go stand in the shade and it's like literally 20 degrees cooler. So traveling to California in the summertime is so much more manageable heat wise. Plus, it rarely rains. Like, I don't really tell my clients to pack ponchos when they're going to California because the times that you're going to need it is maybe 1 in 100.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I actually pulled this fact from Disney, and I love it, that there is an average in Southern California of 284 sunny days per year. So the vast majority of the days of the year are clear and sunny, and yes, no humidity. And I think, part of the charm of Disney in general, everything that we love about being in Disney World, that bubble when you cross through the sign, it's really neat. You mentioned, Rachel, that it's not as big. It is not as big. There just simply is not that much land to be had in Southern California, and Anaheim is already a city, right? It was robust before the park was there. But it is amazing how much you forget once you're in that Disneyland bubble about the rest of the city around you. And Anaheim is not as beautiful as Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, San Diego, other parts of Southern California. But it all sort of just melts away once you are in that bubble. So I think that is that's a really fun thing too. And another thing,
and it's a small bubble, so that way when you're going with kids, especially smaller kids, it is so much easier because you're not having to get on a bus and take another bus and walk to all these turnstiles and stuff. Like if you want to go back to your hotel and take a nap, it's like a 10-minute walk to your hotel, depending on which one you pick, of course. But there's so many hotels within walking distance. So if your kid is one that needs a nap, go early in the morning. You walk early in the morning in beautiful weather. When they're ready for a nap, you walk back to your hotel, takes you 10 minutes, take a nap, then walk back to the park. Also, by the way, they're open the latest until usually at least midnight. So you have so much park time. And with small kids, it's just so convenient. Like the buses at Walt Disney World, they're great, but it is an inconvenience when you want to have the kids take a nap.
Well, the stroller, if you have to collapse your stroller every time that you bring your kids, I mean, that's an effort. And then taking all the bags out and everything else. We were just there in May with our almost 3-year-old and she was 5 months at the time, and we were at the Grand Californian, and it was just amazing how easy it was to go back with the girls who both nap. And so I was actually able to drop them off in the room. My husband stayed with them. My in-laws were there. They were napping. I ran back into the park, was able to go on my Guardians Mission Breakout Genie Plus, watch the dance off, and be back in my room within 45 minutes. I think I even got a snack in between. So, talk about proximity.
It's a dream. Yeah. And I think what you just said, Mackenzie, like that proximity and that ease also just feeds into the general vibe. It just is less intense feeling when you're there. It is more laid back. People are less, filled with frenetic energy. There's definitely less pressure to get on rides. And it's just an easier going vibe. So, Rachel said it, Mackenzie and I are in the Northeast. Oftentimes we'll tell people with younger kids that if you can manage the longer flight and the time change, which while you're there works to your advantage, right? Everyone is getting up early anyway, but it feels late body time. Then Disneyland is easier with kids. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And, Mackenzie just said the stroller, which is a great point. My kids are 7 and 5. And last time I was at Disneyland, I did not bring a stroller. They were able to make it park open to park closed, no stroller. I would never, ever, ever dream of going to Disney World without a stroller. I would rather push it around empty 50% of the time, because at some point someone is going to be toast and going to want that stroller. So I think, being able to travel lighter at a certain age is also a major advantage. So if you can swallow that time change and that flight, I think you're in for an easier time.
I think our Walt Disney World goers. Oh, sorry, Rachel.
No, Texas, it's a 3-hour flight, so for us, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like what, a 1 hour time change, a 2 hour time? It's not that big a deal.
It's a 2-hour time change, so yeah, not that big a deal.
Yeah. That's our flight to Orlando. So that's not a biggie. What I was going to say is you really don't need that stroller, even if you're park hopping, because the entrances to the parks are a 1-minute walk between the two of them. There's no transportation in between. You can see them from the other one.
And people are always so shocked when I send my clients out there. They're like, well, how are we going to get from one park to one park? I'm like, well, you literally walk.
You can see one from the other.
You can see it. And then you can see Downtown Disney, because it's still called Downtown Disney. You stand in the middle and you just turn around and it's a triangle. Like there is so much to be said for the convenience of Disneyland. So yes, it's smaller and it doesn't have 4 parks, but if you want to dip your toe into a Disney park, this is how you're going to do it. And let's segue into it's Walt's park.
This is
So
the original.
yeah, all my historians, Walt actually walked these streets. He had so much input and this park contributed to so many things in the future parks. And you can take a tour of his apartment, which Abby and I will be doing in January.
Yes, we will.
In case she didn't remember, I'm reminding her now.
Oh,
My
no,
in-laws.
I remember.
My in-laws did that tour back in May, and they said it was so informative and they really enjoyed it. It was just such a wonderful experience to be able to like go and see the apartment and then just learn all the ins and outs of the importance of the names on the windows on Main Street and just everything. It was, it's a really, if you're interested in that history, it's a great tour to do, and it's not that long.
It's not. Yeah. I missed the old one though. It was walking in Walt's footsteps. That one's a little longer and a little more in depth. So I'm sad they're not doing it anymore, but I'm glad they're doing a version of it. So I can't wait to do it. I'm glad they gave you that feedback. So just like from the history perspective of it and all the places he ate and everything, but let's go ahead and talk about the castle because it has a cool feature.
You can walk through it, guys. You can truly walk through it. There are no restaurants. There are no lines. There are not people taking their reveal photos from Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique quite as much, I would say. But I mean, this is definitely the thing that I hear from my Disneylanders or Disney World friends the most is the castle is small and it's overwhelming. It's underwhelming. Yeah, it's smaller. But I think if you go back to what we were saying about taking, Disneyland as its own park, each of the parks has its own castle. Each one belongs to a different princess. Aurora just a little more low key than Cindy is all I'm saying.
Aurora does have 3 castles.
She has 3 castles. This particular castle is more understated than Cinderella's in Disney World, but it is also more accessible. And you can see clear to the other side. The carousel, that view always gets me.
It's beautiful, and the walkthrough, like let's not exaggerate it. It's just a walkthrough of Sleeping Beauty's story. It's not what you'll find at Disneyland Paris, which we will talk about eventually. And let me just tell you, I could go off on Disneyland Paris's castle, but it's still fun. It's still fun, and it's a cute castle. It goes with the theme of Disneyland. It's cute. It's small. I like it.
It's like Aurora and her dress. She has the more, plain modest pink dress. Cinderella went big and blue with her ball gown. That's how you got to think of it.
I love that. And another big difference for Disneyland Resort is how many hotels are there. So has anybody done a count? How many hotels are at Walt Disney World? Over 20, right?
27, I want to say.
27. How many are at Disneyland?
3. There are 3 on-site properties. That one also blows people's minds. Everyone, I think, likes to do a comparison. What is it, equivalent to? How does it match up? It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
The Grand Californian is the deluxe. This is the deluxe resort on site. It is as if the Grand Floridian and Wilderness Lodge had a love child, in my opinion.
I think it's just straight Wilderness Lodge. I mean, it's designed by Joe Rohde, so it's the same architect. But to me, it screams Wilderness Lodge.
It does, but it has the spa. They are going for like that more like upscale experience. The name obviously is definitely an allusion to the Grand Floridian. That's the deluxe resort. But I get stuck on Disneyland being like the equivalent of like a moderate, because I think it feels much more deluxe than that.
So it's a deluxe it's a moderate deluxe. Because the problem with the Disneyland Hotel, fun fact for everybody, the Disneyland Hotel was originally owned by someone else, and it was originally just a regular hotel that Disney eventually bought. So it has a very different vibe. And, as we all know, my background is in hospitality and hotels, so I'm obsessed with all things hotels. It's a very traditional hotel, and I dig it, but it also isn't what you would expect at like Walt Disney World hotels. But it is nice. The rooms are nice. They're getting renovated. The pool is one of the coolest pools. It has Trader Sam's, full stop right there.
Right. The monorail water feature and Trader Sam's.
Yeah, like that makes it the best. And they're getting a new DVC tower, which I'm so excited, opening in September. So great hotel, but then Paradise Pier, which is turning into
Pixar Pier.
Pixar Pier. Huge renovation right now. So we the three of us I know are not really recommending that hotel right now because it is being basically gutted. But when it's done, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be the first US Pixar themed resort. And this is it's a value, like 100%. It's
Absolutely.
a tower value. So when I say tower, like instead of at Walt Disney World how there's different buildings, it's all comprised in one tall traditional tower style hotel.
It's
But
built
the
up
rooms
instead
are-
of sprawling.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's got that atrium vibe, kind of like the original contemporary tower. So it can be noisy if you have light sleepers. That is something to definitely take into consideration. And I have a friend visiting me in the background. And then the elevators are also like in the center of those. I mean, obviously, none of us will know exactly what it's like until it's completely finished. But I imagine they're not changing that part of the structure.
No.
From the looks of things, and so you also have that elevator noise going. So I think in that way, it is definitely more akin to your pop and your all stars.
And another thing that I always talk about, I think Abby, you do too. The dining at Disneyland as a whole, it doesn't hold. Walt Disney World doesn't hold a candle to Disneyland. Like Disneyland, so much good food and so much good quick service food. I would even argue the quick service is better than most of the table service at Disneyland.
Absolutely. I know Mackenzie had just returned from her trip, and I think that was your biggest takeaway, right?
Yeah, we were just like, so like, okay, do we need all these sit downs? Do we need all these sit downs? We're like, no, the quick service is so good. And just it allows for you to just be a little bit more flexible with your plans. It's just, it goes along with the whole, Disneyland, go with the flow mentality. So yeah, food
Yeah.
was delicious.
I also think that is intentional. I think they have kept it that way. I think they know that because to Rachel's point, I think with very few exceptions, I think the table service is underwhelming at Disneyland. Whereas, like, at Disney World, like I love a flying fish. There's lots to love. I love skippers in Magic Kingdom. I don't really have one like that. I will just give a quick shout out to the Blue Bayou in Disneyland Park. I know, Rachel. I mean, if you are from the South, if you have lived in New Orleans, I think you can just skip this. But a fun thing to know is that it is inside the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which like that to me.
Ambiance 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yes. Food, no. Ambiance, yes.
But the food is edible. It's not bad food. It's
Right.
just, I wouldn't say like,
it's not authentic.
Authentic.
Right. And I think like compared to everything in that park, it's not good. But when you compare it to like Walt Disney World food and stuff you'd find at Magic Kingdom, it is really good. But when you're surrounded by so many other good things, and elephant in the room, we're gonna just do shameless plug. If anybody's a Club 33 member and wants to hook us up, we will love you forever till the ends of the earth because I would die.
We have been scheming ways into Club 30. Right. So I think, that just for those of you who don't have the park memorized quite as neurotically as we do, if you were at the Blue Bayou, unlike most of the Club 33s around the Disney World Resort, there is a clear building with the number 333 on it. Right next to the Blue Bayou, there's a little alcove and or a little, alleyway, and it is right there, and it's right there, and it is so close and yet so far.
So the next thing that's uniquely Disneyland. Sorry, it's thundering here, and my dog is real pissed. Sorry about that. He doesn't like thunder.
Who does?
Uniquely Disney is how they do characters, especially at Disneyland. I think aside from food, because we all know I love food, this is my favorite thing about Disneyland is how they do characters. Mackenzie, I think you're the one who's been most recently. How did you feel about all the characters?
Yeah. So, okay, from my own perspective, I was blown away. From my 2-year-old's perspective, we were blown away. Just walking around, seeing Wendy just like heading right, along the castle. Peter Pan was riding on the carousel. My 2-year-old was like, "There's Peter Pan." I was like, "No, that's the carousel, Emerson." And she's like, "No, Peter Pan." And then he's like this, waving to everyone. And so it was just so great. We actually got to walk with the Mad Hatter and Alice, who were having a
Oh, fun.
conversation and just like totally interacted with us. And while we were waiting for Blue Bayou to have dinner at Blue Bayou, Red the pirate came up to us,
She's
and
so good.
she's so good. Like, we were just like we went into Blue Bayou, sorry, on, such a, like, high from meeting her because she took out her treasure map and she had Emerson find the, X marks the spot, and she joined a pirate crew, and it was just so fantastic. The character interactions are so much longer, they seem so much more authentic, and the characters, they just feel like they are your friends. I was just like, "I'm coming back here every year because this is just," it
Yeah.
really brought back the magic.
I think one thing that confuses people about Walt Disney World is in the commercials, the characters are free roaming. That is a fun fact how it was at Walt Disney World in the 90s, and the parks have become so increasingly popular. They just, for the safety of everyone involved, can no longer do that. In Disneyland, we were talking about that, that more laid back feel. I think this all ties right into that. The characters do roam around, they spend longer with guests. I mean, when Rachel and I were last in Disneyland, Mary Poppins and Bert rode the carousel for like 10 minutes straight, interacting
With the band.
With the band, the whole
Oh,
band.
that's so
No
cool.
penguins. But
Yeah,
just
it
the
was
band.
it was so fun. And Abby was getting a churro and I ran it, like almost literally ran into Aladdin. Like, and we didn't even mention Avenger Campus.
Well, I was
Oh,
just gonna bring
we'll
it
get
up.
there.
So
Yeah.
I was eating at Pim's, and Ant-Man's just walking around, and it's like no big deal. No one was bothering him. He was just doing his thing. I'm like, if this was Walt Disney World, there would be an hour-long wait
They could
and
never.
cast members surrounding him. And he
Well,
just
and not only that, but they'll have show characters come out. So like whatever movie, they'll have that. They changed Loki's outfit like how many
Yep.
times when the Loki series came out, and they had zombie Captain America. Like Avengers Campus is a
A gem.
study in how to do characters. For
Yeah,
real.
I think another fun thing about Avengers Campus is Mackenzie mentioned the dance off before.
Yeah.
They linger. First of all, the dance off is very cool. It's it is reminiscent of things that were happening at Disney World before the pandemic and have not returned. In terms of character interactions, but I also think it's cool they hang out after. So like if you watch the show and then want to take a picture on your own, like they're there and they stay in character. I think Mackenzie mentioned that Peter Pan was walking around when they were there. We saw Hook and Peter Pan meet in the middle of Fantasyland and had the Fantasyland, and they had a little showdown. They stay in their storylines. I just think of it as like enhanced entertainment all around.
Also, it's the best Donald I've ever met on multiple occasions. So we all know that's very important to me.
Yeah. Can confirm Donald saw Mackenzie dressed like him and first of all, spotted her in the line and was
Rachel.
very excited.
Yes.
Sent
yeah.
his cast member friend to tell Rachel how excited he was to meet her, and then spent a full like 10 minutes, I think, just like fussing over her. I had to tell him that I was considering telling Daisy because he was getting a little flirtatious with
It's
Rachel.
true. It's one of my favorite videos, honestly. I've never had a better interaction than with either Mexico Donald, but Mexico Donald is hit or miss because he can have crazy lines, and the Disneyland Donald. He is always amazing. Always.
Yeah.
It's great. But
I think
don't
back
tell me too
line.
much about the Magic Happens Parade. Don't
Right.
spoil it too much, but this is something that's also uniquely Disney.
Right.
Disneyland,
So,
sorry.
the Magic Happens Parade is new and not new. It originally debuted in March 2020. I think they got one performance in before everything shut down.
I think 1 week, yeah.
1 week, right? It was nothing. Everything got shut down. It returned this past February in 2023 as part of the continued 100th anniversary celebration. We will not go into too much detail. I haven't seen it yet. Mackenzie has. I'll let her edit herself for us. But
don't spoil it. But what did you think about it, Mackenzie?
Besides, it's better than Festival of Fantasy.
Okay, so I really like Festival of Fantasy. This was that on steroids. Like the
Ooh.
songs, the dancing, everything. The what is the wizard's name from Sword of the
Merlin.
Stone? Merlin.
Merlin.
He was on fire. Like
Yeah, he gets down. I've seen in people's
he
social
he
media.
does.
I've seen parts and I'm like, I can't watch this. I want to be surprised when I go. I don't want to see it, but it looks so good.
Yeah. For
It was
anyone
so
playing
good.
Disney Dreamlight Valley, that's probably a real
Oh,
highlight.
so good. We ended up watching it twice because it was just that great of a parade. So I would
Well,
highly, highly recommend it.
and you can watch it twice in one day because they do the parade 2 times every day.
That's right. And a fun fact, and sort of a pro tip is in the early part of the day, the parade starts at the front gate and goes towards the back of Fantasyland. The second performance of the parade will be in reverse. So
It's
they
the
will
reverse.
start in the
By the
back
way,
of
by the way, yeah.
Fantasyland. Oh,
It starts
Yes.
at It's a Small World for the
yeah,
first
okay,
one,
right.
Goes to
and
Main
then
Street.
starts at Main Street for the second one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But It's a
Right.
Small World area is where I always recommend to watch it because not as many people are there, and the performers tend to
Especially
have
that
more
first
energy
one.
over there.
Right, especially that first one, because I think especially, from coming from Disneyland, everyone is camped out around Main Street for that parade, but it really is going through the entire park. So you have a lot more room to spread out and get a good seat.
And then over at California Adventure, we've got World of Color, which I love. It's basically the Bellagio water show on absolute steroids. And
Mhm.
you think there's no fireworks. I don't need to watch this. If you think that, you're wrong, because World of Color is beautiful. It
Beautiful.
gets my little heartstrings every time, every
It makes me
show,
cry.
every
Mhm.
time. And it's just water and projections on water and color, but it's Disney magic. It's Disney magic.
It's
It's so
magic.
good.
Mackenzie,
Yeah.
did you see the
We
the
did.
World
We
of
just
Color when you were
saw.
there?
Yeah, it was great. My 2-year-old loved it. We had a relatively not so windy night, and so we were able to see everything like really clearly. I just thought the show was fantastic.
Which, thank you for saying that. There are times where, so the Santa Ana winds are a big thing in California. So there will be nights where the fireworks, especially, are canceled because the wind is too strong. So
Yeah.
my recommendation for clients is always to watch the fireworks as early in your trip as possible. In case it gets canceled, you'll have more than one opportunity, because that is a real thing, and that's weather. You can't control the weather. As much people
Mhm.
think Disney controls the weather, they don't actually control the weather.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that rumor that it's in a bubble. It's not in a bubble, guys. You're thinking of Tokyo.
We wish, but it's not. So there are a couple rides that are uniquely Disneyland, and these are ones that I know I and Abby and probably Mackenzie too ride every time because they're uniquely Disneyland. Abby, why don't you tell us about some of them?
Well, I think
All of
the first thing that you'll notice is Fantasyland is bigger and different. I think that Alice in Wonderland is unique. That's a cool ride. It's a dark ride. It's one of the first. It's one of the first rides from the park. It's an original. It's gorgeous. That's unique. Great moments with Mr. Lincoln. I think that's a nice air conditioning break. And the Matterhorn bobsled is one of my favorites. I think
because it's a chiropractor is basically what it is.
It is. It's also the first tubular roller coaster. That was an invention. And it debuted in the form of the Matterhorn. People call it like Little Everest. I mean, I have feelings about that. I think that does Everest a disservice, honestly. But if you enjoy it for what it is, it's a fun ride. And you sort of have to do it at least once. Another thing that I love is Indiana Jones. I know
Yes.
that one blew your mind, Mackenzie, your first time, right?
Yes. I was just like, oh my goodness. I could not believe that it was the same track as a beloved favorite in
Dinosaur.
Animal Kingdom.
Mhm.
It's good because it doesn't feel like that at all. The ride is
No.
so completely different, and it's funny because I don't really like Dinosaur, but Indiana Jones is
I
amazing.
don't either.
I
Yes.
don't think anyone likes Dinosaur, and Indiana Jones is amazing. It
Amazing.
is so good.
It just
Disney
felt
magic.
so much like bigger, that like cavern. I just couldn't believe that was it just felt enormous. I couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't get over it.
And Toontown. Toontown still exists in Disneyland, whereas it has been taken out of the Magic Kingdom. Toontown is where you will find Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That just opened and is the same as the one at Disney World, but they also have their own Roger Rabbit cartoon spin, and you can still walk through Minnie and Mickey's houses,
which are so cute. And Donald's boat.
Right,
don't forget.
Donald's boat, and
Don't
then
forget.
the kitchen. I forget if it's a kitchen for Goofy. We spent
Goofy's
a ton of time in Toontown. I think we rode the Gadget Coaster 20 times over and over. But it's absolutely adorable. I mean, everything is just so highly themed, and the characters are walking around. We were able to see Pete. Donald was out regularly. Goofy. You get to have a meet and greet with Mickey in his house. Oh, it's in his house, but it's actually like in his studio behind his house. It's really fun and great for the kids.
Yeah. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little, but then there are the rides that exist at Disneyland and are just superior to their counterparts at Disney World. Small World.
Obviously. Let's just lead off with the best one.
I mean, it's night and day. If you do not like Small World in Walt Disney World, that's because you haven't actually ridden a proper It's a Small World. And one of my favorite things is the Easter eggs around, and I think it helps with little kids too. They throw in Disney characters all around. So when you're going through Australia, you see Nemo and Marlin and Dory, and that helps. Like my kids were like, "Oh, this is Australia," versus just the tiny singing people. And the outside structure is just beautiful. I mean, beautiful.
And the projections they do on it, because they have projection shows seasonally, and right now I think they have an Encanto one, but it's like Speechless is really what it is. Speechless.
Absolutely,
I love it.
Speechless.
Yeah.
And then moving into Pirates. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, for those of you who don't know or are not as nerdy as we are, Walt Disney World originally did not open with Pirates of the Caribbean, and people who had been to California at Disneyland, and they were outraged that there was no pirates. How could there be no pirates?
How dare you?
How dare you? Exactly. And so they had to sort of like squish it into Adventureland at Walt Disney World. So the track is significantly shorter than it is at Disneyland. Not to mention the drops on the Disneyland version are superior.
Way better. Yeah.
Yeah, they're too. I will die on this hill. That ride is much better.
Aside from the rides that are, very much California Adventure, because we haven't even touched that yet. Big Thunder Mountain is the best. It's not the best version of Big Thunder Mountain, but it's the best version in the States. And we all will die on this hill.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's not even like, I don't even ride it at Disney World so much anymore. To me, it's not the same.
And Space Mountain, I don't think is better.
No, it's
aside
better.
from getting in and out of the ride vehicle.
Right. So
I think it's smoother.
I think it's smoother, right? So the big difference is that instead of sitting bobsled style, sort of, single row, and where you're sort of very intimate with the person in front of you, you are two across at Space Mountain and Disneyland, and I think it's much smoother as a result.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're sitting instead of legs at a V. You have a better center of gravity.
It's wider. It's a much smoother ride. I think it's therefore a much more fun ride. My back doesn't hurt as much after it. And they will do the Star Wars overlay around May the 4th and sometimes during the holidays. And when it's Hyperspace Mountain, it is like just chef's kiss. It's great.
And before we dive too much into Disney California Adventure and everything, I forgot to mention Wondrous Journey is the 100th anniversary fireworks at Disneyland. I will say the fireworks are not as good at Disneyland. So we'll just address that elephant in the room, but they do have Baymax.
Yes. So they have Baymax. So they have Baymax, and the fireworks are only on the weekends when they do it.
They changed
the
that.
actual the
right, that's right.
Yeah, they changed
that. They
that.
just changed. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think they did it for the summer. This is the thing about Disneyland is they'll change stuff all the time, so you have to check on the app. But they were doing just the projections on the weekday and then the fireworks on the weekends, and then they changed it. And I don't know if they're going to change it back, but they did change it to have fireworks when possible.
Right. It's only some weeknights, so definitely check your app for that.
But and they used to have Fantasmic, but currently RIP because
Fantasmic.
someone caught on fire.
Yeah. Man, I just feel like she keeps doing that.
Well, I mean, appropriate. She is a dragon and she
Yes.
does have a fiery temper. She did curse a baby for not being invited to a birthday party. So
I mean, okay.
seems appropriate for her
Okay.
character.
I buy that.
So
California
something that's
Adventure,
also,
guys. Oh,
huh? No, go ahead.
I was gonna say California Adventure. Are we not there yet?
Yes. So
Yay.
very uniquely Disneyland Resort, the property is Disney's California Adventure. It has gone through so many redesigns.
Mm-hmm.
Is currently going through another
one.
redesign. But the best things, in my opinion, to come out of it, Avengers Campus, Cars Land.
Okay, Cars Land. Oh man, yeah.
Both of them,
Guys.
and they're right next door to each other. But those
Right.
are, I think, because Cars Land, we talked about this. It was like the start of these really immersive, overly themed lands. And nothing really holds, well, Pandora, but nothing really holds a candle to it, in my opinion, than the original. Like the neon lights at night, come on.
Oh,
It is
the
unreal.
little like dusk dance. I don't know if there's like an official name for it, but like when all the cast members come out, like as it's getting dark and like the lights turn on, that was just like my favorite moment, I think, of
Yeah.
our entire trip. It was
Yeah.
magic.
That whole, it is just so beautifully done. Even if you don't love cars, if you are familiar with cars, if you've been forced to watch it 500 times, it's amazing. It's not my favorite Disney movie. It really isn't. But I love Cars Land and Radiator Springs. Radiator Springs Racers. That ride is
Such a good ride.
phenomenal. It is the same track as Test Track, but much like Dinosaur and Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't think there's a comparison at all. This ride is superior.
No, and I think it's
Yeah.
longer than Test Track because it has that really nice, like, you're going through the mountain in a nice, like, leisurely drive. I want to say stroll because it's people, but it's not people. A leisurely drive, and then you're racing. Like that ride is amazing. Like
it's amazing. And there's two stories. Sometimes you are getting waxed, sometimes you're getting redetailed. So always worth riding it more than once. The tracks diverge, and then at the end, right, they race. So I mean, that ride may be one of the best in Disney parks anywhere.
And a lot of people talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. It is Tower of Terror, but
it was Tower of Terror.
Yeah, everybody who has ridden both has said that Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is superior. I can't really form an opinion on it because we all know how I feel about roller coasters, but the theming is.
Mackenzie and I will tell you it's better. I mean, right, the ride mechanics are the same. It physically was a Tower of Terror that they reskinned or rethemed, but it's much better. I think also like the rocket animatronic in the beginning. I don't know how they're doing that. The sorcery. I just want to take him home with me. Way better. There's no.
So something else that's different at Disneyland is some of the lands that they have, and like every park is going to have different lands, but specifically, we already talked about Toontown, but specifically my favorite one, and I think you guys would probably agree, is New Orleans Square.
New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good. The food, number one, we've already talked about the food. That's where you'll find Blue Bayou, but that's also where you'll find Haunted Mansion. And I really feel like it just fits so well and makes total sense for Tiana to be there because hello, she's from Louisiana. So it just makes total freaking sense. So I love New Orleans Square. And that's also where you'll find the infamous beignets.
Yeah. So I know Rachel already feels this way. I think the Mickey beignets are amazing. And they are in the park, guys. And you can mobile order. You can mobile order your Mickey beignets.
Yep. You can. I mean, the mobile ordering at Disneyland is next level. But yes. And then let's address Genie Plus because I like Genie Plus. I'm not a hater on Genie Plus. I think it's great, but at Disneyland, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, did you use it on your trip?
Yes. So we use it no matter what, just because we can't wait in line with two young kids. Or frankly, we just, at this point, like we find it worth it to do it. So we used it, and I was just amazed at how many. I don't know what the official line is about how many rides Disney thinks that, or the Walt Disney Travel Company thinks that you can fit into a Disneyland day. I know that it is, if you get 3 at Disney World, you've done a good job. Um, I think we probably did 15, 20 maybe in a day, and that was
With kids,
just
with little kids, yeah.
with
And
Yeah.
kids.
this ties
It's
back to what
so
we were
easy.
talking about. It's easier. I am also not a Genie Plus hater. I just wish that it worked like it does at Disneyland all the time because to Mackenzie's point, it's so efficient.
Disneyland, it's efficient, it's seamless. There are a couple things that to me are like
Some parts.
slightly clunky, the way you redeem it and things like that. But overall, it's great. Plus, it includes your photo pass. And that
It
right
includes
there is
your
worth
photo
its
pass.
weight in however much you paid for Genie Plus because granted, there's not as many photo pass photographers
25,
around
yep.
Disneyland.
Mhm.
I don't care. I want all my pictures and it's
Yeah.
included.
And you get
Done.
your ride photos. And one difference, it's more like some of the older rides at Disney World. You will have to go and scan or link your code in order to redeem that photo. They will not just automatically appear in your app like they do at Disney World. So just make sure you do that. But they are included. I think that value is amazing. I think my only complaint is that you have to scan into the parks in order to activate your Genie Plus for that day. So
Yeah.
if you are,
No
for
matter if
instance,
you're staying on site or off.
correct. So this is what I think maybe the biggest advantage right now about staying on property is that you could all roll in through the gates and immediately exit and then go back to Storytellers Cafe, the Grand Floridian for our breakfast, or back to Goofy's Kitchen at Disneyland Hotel. That counts as having activated. You do not have to stand in the park and make the reservations, but that would be obviously harder if you were offsite, depending on where you were offsite. But I think to me, that is my biggest complaint. I do feel that the redemption has gotten better now that Magic Band is at Disneyland.
Yes, agreed.
But yes, otherwise it is clunky to have to pull it up in your app and scan everyone in. That is tough.
And
The other thing too to note is that many fewer rides offer Genie Plus than
that's what I was about to say. And some of the really popular rides like Peter Pan and Pirates don't offer it. But like when you go to Disneyland, you'll understand why, because you'll look at the queue and be like, there's literally no place where they could do this. So you do have to, I mean, obviously as your travel agent, we'll give you these tips, but those would be the rides that we would say maybe do first or do early entry or wait to do at night when the lines are lower. Yeah, because you're going to want to maximize Genie Plus and use Genie Plus for literally every ride because you can. And then the rides that don't take Genie Plus have a little strategy around them. But really the ones that don't have Genie Plus, that to me, I wish I had it, really just Pirates and Peter Pan.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit too, if you think about how the system works, the park is smaller. They are trying to disperse crowds more evenly. So by offering rides that don't have Genie Plus, you end up sort of going to them while you're waiting for your next Genie Plus redemption, and they sort of distribute the crowds more evenly. So I would think of it as, pros and cons. Right, we will give you your strategies. There are definitely a few ways around that chestnut.
Exactly. So to close it off, let's talk about the Disneyland special events. They kind of do things, I don't know, better, just different. Disneyland does have a lot of special ticketed events. Like they had the Pride Night, they had Princess Night, they have Grad Night, they have all these different special ticketed events, but I don't feel like they do the holidays as well.
No, there's no,
because they don't have any. Well, they introduced last year a new Christmas party for very, very, very limited dates, but it's not like Mickey's Very Merry at Walt Disney World. But they have a Lunar New Year celebration. They have a small food and wine, Oogie Boogie Bash. Let's just call that what it is. Oogie Boogie Bash. I think I like it better than Mickey's Not So Scary. Have you guys done Oogie Boogie? I know I have.
I have not.
I have not done Oogie Boogie. I've heard that though many times people prefer it.
I mean, I like it because the characters are better, as we've previously discussed. The trick-or-treating is with a character. So the trick-or-treat lines are through, like we did live action Cruella. She had a trick-or-treat trail. Like it's just really well done, and it's in California Adventure. But like it's just hard because it's more of a locals park. So they have a ton of these small events, but then they don't do long drawn out ones. So if you're wanting to do one of these parties, you really do have to plan and be flexible for when those dates and stuff are announced.
Yeah, and ask your travel agent so they can keep on on top of that for you and give you suggestions. And I think one other thing though that they do nicely at the events is they are bringing out, and it's not even just the ticket events, all their special like celebrations throughout the normal park hours. They do bring out special characters. So Jack Skellington will roam around. We didn't even talk about the holiday overlays on the rides, but they retheme Small World and Haunted Mansion for the holidays. And so you can sometimes catch Jack Skellington roaming around outside. At Disney World, you'll only be able to see him at Mickey's Not So Scary, so you will have to pay for that ticket. And Mushu hangs out with Mulan during the Lunar New Year. That's a pretty rare one. Mackenzie already mentioned Red. I don't think Red hangs out around Disney World.
Nope.
So they're definitely. Oh, and Judy
and
Hopps.
Raya. I don't think there's any
Raya. And they have Mirabelle.
Mirabelle is now at Disney World, but much more limited. But you guys, we didn't talk about the cars. You can meet Lightning and Cruz, and they talk and they drive around.
And Mater.
And Mater.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I just mostly get excited about Lightning. He'll be like, ka-chow.
So I think the point we're all trying to make is Disneyland is amazing. It shouldn't be discredited. And there's a lot of things about it that make it very special, very unique. And I don't care where you locate in the United States, you should make at least one trip to Disneyland. It needs to be at least 4 days long. You need to stay on site.
In a day, guys.
Yeah. Like just overall, 10 out of 10. We love Disneyland, and we just wanted to debunk some myths for you guys that we get all the time, and highlight some of the things that we love about it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, learned some things, and definitely reach out to one of us for vacation planning. And again, thank you so much to Wave of a Wand for sponsoring this week's episode. And tune in next time for surprise. We're not going to tell you. And that's just how I'm going to roll, because we like to keep things loosey-goosey up in here. So thanks for another episode, and we will chat with you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.